Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast. My name is Julio, and I'm joined today by some friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, Dave, Chris, and Jose. And on behalf of the guys, we want to thank you for joining us for episode 36 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. For those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for stopping by. And a special thank you because today we are celebrating Jose's birthday. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons to make his day, which nothing else important happened, extra special. We would greatly appreciate it. Before we begin, we'd like to give a huge shout out to our chief Heron Head, Matias. Thank you so much for your generous support. Additionally, we'd like to thank our other Heron Heads, Art, Brian, Kevin, James, and Karen. Thank you so much for your continued support. And if you feel so inclined to support us on Patreon, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening. And if you don't feel so inclined, that's totally okay too. We appreciate you being here. So in today's episode, we will be discussing Messi winning his 8th Ballon D'Or. It was announced today. And as part of that celebration, we have partnered with a local artist, Chris Shane, who made this incredible drawing watercolor thing. If you're on audio, I'm showing a picture of it, so sorry. But really cool drawing. And we are actually going to be giving away 2 printed copies of this piece, which will be signed and numbered by Chris. All you need to do is be subscribed, like the video, and drop a comment. And that's it. We'll randomly pick a winner and announce the winner next Monday when the giveaway ends. So super grateful to Chris for partnering with us, and also make sure to check his store out if you guys like the art. He has other pieces available. And he was kind enough to include a promo code if you do eventually buy something. But anyways, guys, Messi was awarded his 8th Ballon d'Or. We pretty much expected this to happen. We talked about it a lot in our preview episode. So were there any surprises for you guys? Because really everything went as planned and scripted, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody had said that Messi's going to win, but there's always like that little inkling of fear that, oh my God, what if he doesn't win? And I could see them giving it to Haaland. But yeah, absolutely. Messi's performance in the World Cup just solidified that award. Probably the last time in his career that he'll be eligible for the Ballon d'Or. So very, very happy that he came away with it. But surprises, I mean, my only surprise was how long it took to get to him at the end there. Because I started watching when they first aired, and it was just red carpet appearance after red carpet appearance. And, oh, there's Beckham. Oh, there's Jorge Mas. Oh, there's Messi with his family. But it just I felt like it dragged on. And to the point where I kind of had to walk away from it and get some things done, because I was like, I'm really dedicating way too much time to this award show that I didn't feel comfortable with it. But no, very, 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 very happy that Messi came away with it. And yeah, thankfully, no surprises.
You took my surprise, David, because I was going to say the same thing. I'm surprised how boring and how like the broadcast was just like, meh. to say, I don't have any other words for it. We were there listening or watching for a while. There was no audio for like an hour. I was just there, had the TV on silent. They're showing the red carpet. I was like, what is this? I even asked you guys, is there audio on your end? Because it's just silent. It was just super weird. And then after a while, I got tired of it. And then I had to go to my nephew's soccer match. And I was like, whatever, just let me know what happens. Because it seemed like it would never end. And then I kept asking you guys like every hour, right, did it happen? And you kept saying, no. Did it happen? No. And finally, something happened hours later. It was like 4 hours into it, I feel like. But yeah, no surprise, Messi won. We all knew it was going to happen. Awesome for him. You know, we spoke about it a little bit in the preview to the Ballon d'Or, that the main thing that really propelled him there is the World Cup. The World Cup is the big one this year. You know, it only happens every 4 years. He carried Argentina. He dragged them to the final. He performed outstandingly in the final as well. So, yeah, just awesome for him. It's awesome for him to be part of Inter Miami winning it here in the States. I saw a funny post. I think it was ESPN, or I forgot who it was, that it was ESPN UK that said it broke down all of the Ballon d'Or winners in recent history, and it said North America 8 because of Messi. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I was the only surprise was I didn't expect David Beckham to present to him the award. I thought that was pretty sick and unique in that I guess it was just he was inevitably gonna win it, and they were like, okay, let's bring this guy in. No, I mean it was well deserved. I'm with David. I could totally have seen them give it to Haaland as well. When we were talking about it in the preview, it was straight up. This guy is one of the best seasons versus one of the best World Cups. What's better? And clearly, the soccer world felt the World Cup's better, right? Which is what we thought. But no, I mean it was expected from us across the board. But yeah, very very nice to see it. It's like Chris says that it's going to be his last time that he wins it, right? So it's just like. It's just appreciated. It's like when everyone gave him the standing ovation at the end. I thought that was super cool. Just okay. David was right. David Stradamus, I get it. He's always right. So it was just one of those things that like it was very cool moment that everyone gave him a standing ovation at the end. It was very nice. I was happy for him. Happy for the city of Miami as well. Just we have a Ballon D'Or winner. That's crazy.
It's cool. The first one outside of Europe ever. Like that's news in and of itself. And you can make the argument, but like none of the stats really from Inter Miami apply. But he won it as an active Inter Miami player. I don't make the rules. I'm just here reporting on it, right? So an Inter Miami player has won, a non-European player has won, and it is what it is. Like Inter Miami have more Ballon d'Ors than Chelsea, PSG, Tottenham, Roma, Arsenal, like crazy list of clubs, and Inter Miami have one. And when we build Freedom Park and finish it and we have a museum there with all our trophies, there's going to be a Ballon d'Or there. Jorge Mas was flying back with Messi tonight on the plane. The Ballon d'Or was sitting in front of them on a little tray, and it is what it is. It's coming home to Miami. Like I don't it's crazy. It's so cool. It's so cool. Like there's so many things. There's so many things that are associated with Messi that has elevated this club from being kind of the laughingstock of the MLS, which is in and of itself not very respected worldwide in the soccer community. And now it's like we're able to sort of pump our chests and say we have a Ballon d'Or winner. We have a Ballon d'Or that is associated with our club. And yeah, it might be his last one. What would he have to do for it not to be his last one? What would he have to do in the MLS season for it not to be his last one? Let's talk about that because I think that's interesting. It would be very difficult because again, the MLS in the eyes of the governing body of football, right? It would be very difficult to overcome anything that some of these other players that were nominated and ranked highly in this award. Would he have to score like 60 just in season and then ball out in some of these like international cups? Because I think the CONMEBOL, they have a couple. Copa America, I think it is coming up. So what do you guys think he would have to do to win a 9th, which is extremely unlikely, granted?
I think he would have to score at least 50 goals. Maybe not score 50 goals, but at least have 50 or 60 goal contributions. So goals and assists. I think that Inter Miami would have to be undefeated. They had to go with 0 losses, 0 draws the entire season.
Competitions.
Oh no, and then the competitions, you better win all exterior competitions that aren't league play. So that means win the Leagues Cup, win what is it, the US
the CONCACAF Champions, the US Open Cup.
That's what I was going to point out. The CONCACAF Champions is a big one. It's very well known. And that would be a major statement to score goals there and really make a statement in the CONCACAF. It's not Champions League or anything, but it's still a large or major international tournament.
Yeah, if he
that's what he has to do.
Lead scoring in all of these tournaments and have an outrageously high goal contribution during the season, that'd be the only way that he would have a chance in a non-World Cup season. Now, I'm not ruling out the fact that he might not ever play in another World Cup. I don't know if there's a good chance, but I think there's a decent chance that he's a contributor in a World Cup, in the next World Cup. And if that's the case, and he has a stellar World Cup, just like this last cup, I think that there's a good chance that he can win the Ballon d'Or if not realistic to expect it, but definitely within the realm of possibility that it's something that can happen. So maybe by then that won't be his ninth Ballon d'Or. Maybe it'll be his 10th or 11th. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
What he needs to do is similar to what you guys have said, where basically it's like what I don't think it's going undefeated because that's ridiculous. First of all, he's not gonna play every game, right? Let's be honest. Okay, so he won't play every game, so he needs to have an outrageous stat line, just like you were saying. But we have like 5 cups that we're gonna be able to capture this year. I read that somewhere. It's like 5 cups. And then if you throw a crazy one in there, do you imagine if we accept the bid that they asked just Inter Miami? It was very disrespectful to every other MLS club, but they just wanted Messi to play in Argentina. Was it CONCACAF?
Was in the Libertadores?
Yeah.
Like that would be dope. Like if we play in Libertadores and we just accept the bid and we just go play it over there, yeah.
Just go spank everybody over there.
Just go spank everyone and come back to America. You know that'd be something. Yeah, the easy answer is like what David said, a World Cup. He just knocks it out of the park again. Has an amazing season at MLS, wins trophies left and right, and but yeah, it's the thing is that we're so look. If you watch the Beckham documentary, okay, plug, yeah, all in unison, plug. What I loved about that documentary is that it shows just how pissed they were at Beckham leaving the Real Madrid for MLS. They were just it was like gross to them. It was disgusting. Like how could he ever do that to them? Like it's embarrassing. That's that's how they feel in Europe about MLS. You know that we're not a respected league. This is literally Barcelona. What did they say when he left? He left. He didn't want to come to MLS. He didn't want to come to Barcelona because he wanted to play for an inferior league and he wanted to relax the rest of his career. That's disrespectful. But that's how they feel. That's how they feel in that league, which is funny because PSG. What kind of a league is that? I don't know what to tell you. Messi. What I would love is somehow that we can play some of these teams. We should whoop their.
If we win the CONCACAF Champions League, then we will be able to win the Club World Cup. So it's a possibility. We won't have too many matches against those teams because it's a very small field that actually qualifies to the Club World Cup. But potentially in 2 years' time or a year and a half time, because obviously CONCACAF Champions Cup will run next season, and then if we are able to win that, then we will qualify for the Club World Cup, and things could get interesting. Messi will be another year and a half older, but we'll have a chance to play maybe some of these really high-end teams that are deemed as Europe's elite. So that would be super interesting. And again, Messi winning a 9th is crazy to talk about, but we're riding the high. What's more fun than just dreaming about these sorts of things, especially on a day like today when just the culmination of an incredible season for Messi, personally, professionally, just amazing. Like he's so happy. He achieved the only thing that was missing from him in reality, which was the World Cup. And Jose, I have did you know, Jose, that every Leagues Cup MVP in the history of time has won the Ballon d'Or? How about that? Also, did you know that you share a birthday with Diego Maradona?
I do.
Happy birthday, Maradona, because that's today.
Is that real or is it like Ian Frey?
No, that's real. That's real. But also happy birthday to Ian Frey. I thought it was interesting that the ceremony lined up with Maradona's birthday. I thought that was kind of like a cool coincidence. It's like the ghost of Argentina's past and like just the new like that's off his back, right? Like Messi's the greatest Argentinian of all time. Like I feel like by virtue of him winning the World Cup, like that's done, right?
That'd be an interesting topic to discuss in Argentina, to be honest with you, because man,
I know they feel very strongly about Maradona. Obviously,
I've been to Buenos Aires, and let me tell you something. People there, he's a god there.
Yeah, I'm not slighting him.
I went before Messi won the World Cup.
Right. I'm not slighting him, but that was like the biggest knock from Argentina, as far as I know, was that Messi hadn't brought that back home.
but also it's also the way that Messi plays compared to the way Maradona plays, where Maradona plays with, like, Argentinians are known for their passion and just their vigor when they're playing soccer, and Messi does. I mean, we watch him here. He's walking around, right? That's not necessarily what they're looking at. And then what's frustrating for an Argentinian fan is that they see him walking around, they see him not necessarily carrying so much, and they're losing, right? Where now he's doing the same things, right? But he won, so it's a little cuter. You know what I mean? But it's funny that the World Cup, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I kind of felt like he brought that out a little bit, a little more excitement, a little more upset, or just.
I think there was a little more of that, like, killer instinct,
yeah,
that he showed, and he's had that. I mean, we're like kind of recency bias with him walking around and stuff like that. That's a age thing versus a career long thing that he's had. But yeah, in the World Cup, I mean, it was like, this is it, because he's not necessarily guaranteed to be in the next World Cup. So he kind of knew that it was now or never. And given the squad that they had heading into the World Cup, I mean, as good a shot as he was going to have heading into the World Cup, they were one of the favorites, and not just because Messi was on the team, but they have a legitimate, like, squad around him. Emiliano Martinez won the Yashin Award for best goalkeeper at the Ballon D'Or ceremony. I think the only other Argentinian, though, in the top 15 was Julian Alvarez, who was a striker. But they have, like, what's hard with international or national teams is that you'll have, like, a couple good pieces that have very high level experience, but oftentimes it's very disjointed. Like, you'll have people from the domestic league of your country, and then you'll have, like, a couple that play in Europe. But Argentina, like, top down, have people that play in the top 5 leagues, like, in Europe. So they had a very solid squad. But yeah, Messi showed an absolute killer instinct in the World Cup, and it has paid off. It has all the fruit born from that has really come to fruition now. So it's awesome. It's awesome. It's one of the coolest things, like, I've experienced as a fan of the local MLS club. Like, I don't think it will ever necessarily reach this height again, because, again, I find it very difficult to imagine someone actively playing in the MLS to win a Ballon d'Or just off that merit. So really cool experience today, even if it took 6 hours for them to announce the winner.
It's
but
rare in general.
That goes to show also, like, that's a good job on Inter Miami for. I know obviously it's a good job for getting Messi, obviously, but that just shows you a good job of getting Messi while he's in consideration for this award. I mean, that's something that everybody knew that Messi had a very good chance of winning, and other clubs could have tried to capitalize on that prestige and say, oh, like Chelsea. Imagine if Chelsea was like, yeah, let's sign Messi real quick just to make sure we can finally notch off that Ballon d'Or, and they didn't. So that's a huge get for Inter Miami that they can now say that yeah, we have the most prestigious individual award under our tutelage. So that's fantastic on that case. And I know that you said that there was only one other top 15 player, but also, like, top 20, they did have Argentina had Lautaro Martinez as well. So that's another player that was in consideration for the Ballon d'Or.
Another knock on the MLS is their season, the schedule for the season, that it doesn't follow the rest of the world, obviously. So their season is always going to be kind of like cut in half for the voting, wouldn't it be? For example, the voting ended right before the Leagues Cup, let's say, before Messi got here. We were right in the middle of the MLS season when that happened. So I think just to stack up the stats and things like that might just throw off the stats in general and the voting, because what are you really going to vote on? Half of a season for someone that plays in the MLS? I think until the MLS kind of puts themselves together with the rest of the world and the schedule, then it's kind of no point in voting for someone in the MLS, because it's very difficult to gauge how they really did. So that's another knock on the MLS.
It would be like two weird.
Not to bring anything down.
Huh? No, but it would count what, like from the point where the voting closed for a previous season. So, like, would it count the Leagues Cup from this year for next year's voting, for example? Who knows? We don't know.
I guess it would. I guess it would. That's the only thing that makes sense. But
Yeah,
then it just gets
it's
weird.
weird.
I don't know.
It's weird to have like a disjoint. Like you would have the end of one season and the start of a different season as like your CV.
As your full
Yeah.
CV, yeah. I guess he's gonna have to score 60 goal contributions real quick.
Very condensed amount of time.
If the MLS wants to get serious about being in these kind of things and not being looked at like Europe sees us, they have to change it. The scheduling is one thing for sure, right? Just the amount of games when they play it, as often as they play it. From that to you go like the timing when the transfers are in Europe compared to when they're happening here. Weird how I understand why we did it initially, but now I think as you bring in a guy like Messi is when you have to really start to say, okay, like what do we need to do here to compete with these guys, and we're not the Premier League, we're never going to be the Premier League, but you can some of the lower divisions. There's no reason why you can't compete with them.
Yeah, they probably had a really good chance to really restructure everything during COVID when they had to sort of pause and do like the MLS is back, whatever competition, if you want to call it that.
Yeah,
that probably would have been a golden opportunity.
And that was a fake tournament that Orlando City won, and nobody really considers it a trophy.
There you go.
I'm going to hang up and listen.
Thank you to our first-time caller. Yes, I think the timing will be extremely difficult to ever reorganize it in a way that they can shift the timing of the season itself. But a lot of things that you mentioned need to get more in line with the European leagues if MLS wants to be taken seriously, because so many things, like really the designated player position, like what are we doing? That just needs to go away. That just needs to go away. Like if you want to bring in talent, bring in talent. If you want to make teams have at least like 3-4 domestic talents, whatever, cool. But you can't cap who you're bringing from outside of the country if you want to be taken seriously. Like you're just limiting the amount of talent that can be brought into the league and infused into the league. And if one club has ownership that is aspirational and wants to bring in this high end talent, then so be it. That's
we did it half-assed because I think the initial calling for us to do MLS the way that we're doing is because I felt like we're also trying to make it an environment where mostly Americans play in it, right? The problem is that, at least in the city that we live in Miami, we are a town that loves big events, correct? Like that we see it. Whenever there's a big event, Miami shows up. It's always we go all out and there's always a bunch of people going to these events. But the moment, what happens before Messi, we had MLS. People said, oh, Miami loves soccer. It's true. You go to parts of Miami, you go to Doral, for example, Weston, you start seeing these youth academies within the city of Miami. It's there's a lot of talent here. The problem is that they're not interested in playing the MLS. Their aspirations are to go to Europe. Today, their aspirations are to go to Europe. So what do you do to change that? You unleash the MLS, make it a place where people want to play at, where people are going to get paid well. Otherwise, what's the point? You're never going to compete.
That's also why it's so important to get in these tournaments that are going to have us, granted, even if it's once in a blue moon, get us in the same room as some of these other European teams and just get us in that showcase that, hey, we belong, we're amongst them.
And
even if they beat us, it doesn't matter. We're on the same platform at this point. And then it brings more eyeballs to your team and the league as well. And that'll help you draw some better talent, and it's necessary. And we can still get people from other parts of the world and still grow the domestic sport by having these youth academies, by having leagues underneath the MLS. That's why it's hard to convince some of these owners, but the relegation is so important for that reason. You can use these relegatory leagues to really start boosting the youth and infusing the youth into these things, and then you have transactional teams, and there's just so much that goes into it that Europe has right. And yeah, I mean, MLS has a lot to work on, including, and now we're Julio and I were talking about it. The playoff system that they're doing now is also the weirdest thing in the world. A few years ago, I didn't know much about about aggregate and all these things. And now today, I think it was today, I told Julio, I'm like, man, what is this 3-game playoff business? I mean, the home and away with the aggregate system, I think is perfect for a playoff. And they've now gone to this 3-game, and what if a team sweeps, and then you have another game going to 3, and just again, MLS doesn't seem to know what the heck is going on with scheduling because they just refuse to get any kind of scheduling decision right. So hopefully now in the offseason, once the powers that be get into a room together, they can figure out ways to start inching closer towards some kind of normalcy with the rest of the world when it comes to competition in general.
I think that MLS in general they're an American league, right? But they stick to a lot of the same American sports type of template. You know, if you look at the other sports in America, basketball, football, baseball, they all do the same type of best of 3, best of 5, whatever. And maybe they were founded that way. Maybe it was a mistake in the beginning, but they do have to find a way to get away from that because soccer is an international sport. If you want to bring in money, if you want to bring in fans all around.
This is the first year they're doing that best of 3 thing, though.
Specifically, yeah. But even the concept of a playoff is very American.
Right. Exactly.
I don't mind that.
It's very Americanized.
I don't mind the playoff, to be honest. Like I've never liked that in Europe. They just have it and the season ends after this. After it always left me like wanting a little bit more. Like I would have liked to have seen the best teams go at it again. Just like one more like hurrah. You know what I'm saying? But maybe even shorten the season to be able to pull that off, right? Because that's what I saw this year, man. We got so tired. We got so tired. I read an article where they were saying that if we were to get to every final, every single final, if we were to get to it, you know how many games we would play, Julio? Did you know?
60. No, tell me.
60 games.
So 60 goals is in
60.
Reach.
It is. but maybe not because our schedule's so like.
Yeah,
bubbly. You don't know what counts or what doesn't count. But yeah, like about 60 games. If we reached every single final of every cup that we could possibly play at, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's out of control.
I mean, European teams deal with the same thing. Like I would be interested to see how many games Manchester City played this last season because they got. I mean, they're probably like in 5-6 competitions every season because they have domestic cups, and that's the thing with European leagues. Like we say that there's no playoffs, but after the regular season, that's when like the elites of the elites, that's like knockout season of the Champions League. Like that's the playoffs. Like for them, that's the ultimate goal. Like you can't say that MLS, the biggest aspiration is the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but so few, it's not so often where you have like the hype around it. And maybe that's a Inter Miami bias because, you have LAFC that's competing in there. You have Dallas that's competing over there. Like you have a bunch of teams that have competed in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but like it's a different level, just like we've talked about this whole time. Like, will an MLS player win a Ballon D'Or? Like, the levels are just different when you talk about the UEFA Champions League and the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's just different. But yeah, it's super Americanized. The league itself is young when you compare it to the systems that have been in place in Europe for over 100 years, right? Like the MLS is 30 years old, 40 years old, and it has to, but now's the time for it to change and evolve and get with the program sort of, because the times are changing and they've already made changes to allow clubs to better themselves, but they need to sort of just now let the leash go and just sort of let it go and be another league that's on the same stage as these other leagues.
Yeah, I think that's where it's heading in December. To be honest, it's just you don't have the Ballon d'Or winner in your league and not change.
Yeah, well, imagine how much now power and sway that at least our ownership has, and there's other clubs that want to get on the same level as us. Like, who wouldn't want to be able to bring in a superstar of maybe not the level of Messi, but like just some big name from Europe? Like, I bet you one of the teams in LA wants to bring over a huge name just to be like the West Coast version of Miami. And other teams probably have similar aspirations. So I imagine December will bring big changes. Big changes.
The Galaxy, I don't see how they don't start getting involved. I mean, they've been pretty whatever the last few years, right?
No, I totally agree.
That screams to me, you know.
I totally agree. So I don't know how much more we can beat the dead horse of Messi winning the Ballon d'Or and how great he is. There was some Inter Miami news that did come out today. Apart from Messi winning the Ballon d'Or and the club winning the Ballon d'Or, the friendlies in China were actually canceled altogether. There had been some sort of murmurs and whispers about the second match being canceled and maybe moved. I actually saw that it might be moved to Singapore. But today was announced by Gaston Edul, Argentinian reporter, that both matches are officially canceled. Apparently, there were some bureaucratic reasons. So I heard that they weren't able to strike a deal with the promoters in China. Um, Behind the scenes stuff, contractual stuff, who knows? We probably will never find out the fine details. But unfortunately, the matches that we were kind of looking forward to as a quick turnaround from the end of the MLS season are no longer taking place. So those are matches that were going to be played on November the 5th and the 8th. The only silver lining is that I don't have to try to pronounce those team names anymore. So if I had butchered them before, we don't have to go through that again. But I imagine the club tries to schedule some friendlies to
Saudi
again.
Arabia.
I imagine that the club will try to schedule some friendlies to the point that you guys were making. Bring more eyeballs to the league, bring more eyeballs to the club, and continue to grow this brand that has exploded since Messi has arrived. So unfortunate news that came out about the friendlies being canceled, but we'll be sure to keep you guys up to date with any new developments for friendlies or whether they be in place of these Chinese matches, which I highly doubt at this point because we're less than a week away, or if they come, sometime down the road in the off season. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys leave a comment and like this video to enter to win this cool drawing. And we'll be picking the winner next Monday. What day is that? That is the 6th of November that we will be drawing the winner. So again, thank you to Chris Shane, incredible artist who made this. And thanks so much for tuning into the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. And we'll catch you on the next one.
We'll be right back.